Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Angela Saavedra. I'm the director of the Center on the Hill, and it is time for another episode of Tell Me Something Good. Now with special guests. I'm joined today by Kate Bianco. Hello.
How are you?
Good, good, good. Tell us where you're joining us from, Kate.
I am joining you from Ardmore, Pennsylvania, so just outside the city.
Nice, nice. I always ask this even when people are close. What's the weather like out there?
Today it's raining. I think we're supposed to have a tropical storm pass through, which I
Yep,
had no idea about, but
yep,
you know,
that's happening. Yeah,
yeah,
tropical storm. Cool. All right. As long as it's not a hurricane, I'm actually okay
yeah,
with tropical storms. A lot of rain, some wind, it's fine, but
right,
hurricanes,
yes,
so
I'll take it.
we'll take it. Well, for those of you just joining us for the first time, we're going to use some cards from a game called Storywise, which is 144 thoughtful ways to bond with a fellow human. I pick 3 cards, and then we will ask the questions, talk to you about them, and then at the end, we're going to ask you to email us your thoughts and join the conversation. So without further ado, let's get started. Here's our first picture. Can you see it? It's like 3 guys, old guys sitting around in some
Yeah,
chairs out by a pool, probably
yeah.
relaxing. And this question says, what you think people waste too much time worrying about?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I love this question. I always feel, and I do this myself, I feel like we spend too much time worrying about things we can't change. Like, I sometimes I find myself caught in like a worry cycle, and then I'm like, is there anything in the world I can do about this? Nope. Do I know anybody in the world that can do something about this? Nope. Then I need to stop worrying about it because it's legitimately out of my control. There's nothing I can do, and worrying is only going to like stress me out and make me feel awful. So I should just not worry about it. And I know that's easier said than done. I'm well aware that yeah, I can think that and want to do that and not be able to do that. But I genuinely think as a culture, we often worry about things that are completely out of the realm of our control. And I don't know if that's just kind of built in human nature or what, but I would love to try and spend less time worrying about things I
Yeah,
can't do anything about. How about
yeah.
you?
Have you heard about the 5 and 5 rule?
Mm-mm.
That kind of goes with what you're saying. So it says if it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't spend 5 minutes on it.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. Again, easier said than done for
Sure.
sure. But it's it helps to put things in perspective a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think we spend too much time worrying about?
I think, and this is something I think, like, I definitely do this all the time. I think we worry way too much about what other people are perceiving us as. I think that whether it's what you're wearing or how you're dressing or how you're acting to a certain degree. I mean, if you're not being a very nice person, don't do that. But I think that the amount of time we spend kind of like getting ready to be in society or feeling like we need to kind of create it happens a lot with social media where you feel like social media is real life and it's not, and you want to just kind of keep up with the Joneses a little bit. It really, I think we would just worry too much about that. And if we just focus on our own happiness and, something that makes me happy isn't going to make you happy.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't let that keep you from what you want to do and how you want to be. So
I love it. That's a great answer. Yeah. I mean, until you mentioned it, I really didn't realize that, yeah, no, that's a thing that we as a society and even just humans do. We're
yeah,
like, oh, worried about, I mean, what makes me put on makeup every day? Because I'm
right.
somebody's going to look at me and be like, oh, you don't wear makeup. Like, okay. But yeah, you're right. Maybe that's going to be my New Year's resolution next year. Try to not worry so much about that. Love it. Okay. Our second question. Here we go. It's a young girl and an older woman blowing a bubble with gum. And this says, something you learned from young people.
From young people.
Or just
You can edit this out. The thing is, I don't really like young people.
Fine. Well, maybe that's what you learned.
I don't like you. Well, from young people, I think. Well, I'll say this: you and I are both in theater. We both do that as a passion and something that I was taught as a young person, but by learning from young people, that play is really important. You know, no matter how old you are, how elderly you feel, you need to play and you need to have fun. And I'm not talking about just like, let's sit down and play some Scrabble or have an intelligent conversation. You know, like that's fine too, but you need to go out and just run around and not worry about how silly you think you might look, but because it's just such a huge stress reliever. You know, there was, when I was a kid, I did a summer theater program. And one of the things that they taught us was storytelling. And, you know, I had never done anything in front of anybody at the time. And I was incredibly nervous. And what we did was I was like 11. So out of that whole, like, let's go outside and play kind of stage of my life. But before we performed that day, our counselor was, you know, trying to just entertain this group of kids. So we played red light, green light, you know, and like the silliest game, but it totally relieved the stress and it took away any kind of anxiety that we had, and we were able to just enjoy the rest of the day. So I think that's something that I learned as a kid from other kids.
Yeah.
I think is still important.
No, that is, and that's great. Yeah, for me, it's kind of the same thing. For me, it's as like doing theater and working with youth. And I was a preschool teacher for a long time, and I taught 4-year-olds, and then I also was like in a toddler room for a while. And it was really interesting to see, because by the time I was doing that, I guess like, so this was the next generation coming up. And when I was being raised, it was a lot of, you know, you behaved a certain way in public. You know, as a child, you were told to, like, you know, you don't, if the adults are talking, you're not talking, you know, like all these kind of things that like made you really reserved. By the time I was teaching in preschool and working with kids at that point, this was the next generation, my generation, raising children. And we weren't raising kids so much that way. We were raising kids of like, express yourself, say what you want to say, like, you know, it's fine. I mean, obviously say excuse me if you're interrupting, but like, you know, we still taught manners, but there was a lot more freedom to sort of be yourself and express your thoughts, instead of being like, you got to sort of have the same thoughts your parents are having. It's like, right. No, you can actually, and I think I really learned from that like, you know, sort of how that's beneficial to society as a whole in a different way. Like I kind of watched these kids and went, yeah, you're going to be a very different kind of adult. You're going to be a very different kind of contributor to society because you don't feel the pressure of these parameters. Now, I mean, I'm sure there's still kids that do, but like in particular, kind of as a whole, I'm generalizing. That's what I saw. And I was like, I think that's kind of great. And, you know, if my mom's watching this, she's probably like, yikes, I didn't raise you to think that way. It's fine. And that's okay. Because, you know, I think it's kind of, there is a balance, right? You know, and I do see sometimes, I mean, we've all been in the store and we've seen it. There's the kid, the parenting that goes the other way, where, you know, the kid is so expressive and feels like they can do whatever they want and there are no parameters, and that's like too far to the other end of the spectrum.
Right. Yeah.
What swings one way swings another. So it makes perfect sense that we started here in the like, you know, be seen and not heard category, and now we've ended up in the like, whatever you think, whenever you think it, do what you want category, and now we're gonna swing back and land somewhere in the middle. But I definitely learned that, yeah, I mean, it's important to be yourself. It's important to express yourself. It's important to, you know, have your thoughts be heard. And I love it when kids aren't afraid to, like, you know, they're not restrained by having, you know, society hasn't put that on them yet. And so, you know, and I'm kind of like, yeah, we should as adults take a little cue from that.
Yeah, like, definitely.
say what we're thinking when we're thinking it. I mean, within reason. All right. So our last question.
Oh.
Yeah, right. Isn't that a really sweet picture with their little wedding cake in the front? This is obviously an anniversary party, or maybe they're have a daughter or granddaughter getting married. Who knows? But it's a great picture. And this says, whether you think living forever would be a blessing or a curse. Right?
Okay.
I love this question. It's two sides, right? Because now I'm, I don't hide it. I'm well over mid 40. I am on the other side of my mid 40s, coming at 50, which I'm excited about. But I feel like now I've seen a lot, and I'm always excited to see more. So in one hand, I think it would be a blessing because I'd be like, cool, I'd get to see all the things. But also in my 40 some odd years of living on this earth, there have been some things where I'm like, boy, I wish I didn't have to live to see that. Like,
right.
What? So I know they want you to choose one or the other, but honestly, I think it's a complete double-edged sword because, on one hand, it would be great. You'd live forever and you'd see all these generations go, but then it might get lonely because you're,
right.
seeing all this stuff go by, and it's like, you're a part of it, but it's kind of, there's no, like right now you cherish things because you're like, this will be fleeting, and then
right.
something else will come, and in the end, this will all be over, and that's okay. But yeah, I think it might. You might think it's going to be good at first, and then I could see where you would easily transition to like, no, this is the worst. I don't want to live forever.
No, I completely agree with that. I think that it would be really cool, but only if there were a certain set of circumstances, you know what I mean? So like if we're living forever, am I aging forever?
Right.
Am I gonna continue to deteriorate and be like 200 years old but stuck in a bed? I don't want that,
Sure.
And I am a people person. I value my relationships and my friendships so much, and I feel like if I was the only one living forever, I would just miss everybody. I would have to you have to experience kind of, you would be able it's like you said, it's a double-edged sword because you could just have unlimited time to do anything you put your mind to, which is kind of nice. But at the expense of possibly doing it alone. And I don't know, I think maybe the point of being alive and living is to do it with people.
Yeah.
Whether that's in a partnership or not, just like in a community, I think. And we've been in community since like the dawn of time. In caves, we were all together, sharing some bison or whatever. And yeah, I think personally, I wouldn't want that. I think it would be more of a curse. So
yeah, I definitely think I'm leaning more that way. Like you said, it's a nice idea at first, and then you're like, oh, but actually,
right. You have to make money forever then. Social Security is not going to be around.
No, right. We'd live to see that go away.
Right.
I don't think I want to live to see that go away. Yeah. No, exactly. Great. Well, let me recap our questions. Our questions today were what you think people waste too much time worrying about, something you learned from young people, and whether living forever would be a blessing or a curse. Email your thoughts to me at msaavedra@chestnuthillpres.org. That's MSAAVEDRA at chestnuthillpres.org. Join the conversation. Thanks so much, Kate, for being with us today. It was really great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is really fun.
Absolutely. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching.